Hello, everyone, and welcome to Leadership Conversations. I'm very excited about today because our guest is Laura Crowther, who is from Coastal Carolinas Association. And I don't think she needs a lot of introduction for all of you, but we're going to allow her to do it anyway. I've known Laura for a long time, rely on her experience, her wisdom, and in a lot of different areas. But today she's going to talk about one of her favorite things. So, Laura, with that, could you give us a little bio about yourself and your association and just
Sure,
talk to us?
sure.
Okay.
Uh, for those that I haven't met before or yet, my name is Laura Crowther, and I am the CEO at the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors. And for those of you that don't know where that might be, I think everybody's heard of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So that is home for me, and we represent just over 80 miles of shoreline along the South Carolina coast, all the way from the North Carolina border down to Charleston, South Carolina. Very interesting dynamic in our community. We have two counties, Horry County and Georgetown County. Could not be two more different areas. Horry County is the largest landmass east of the Mississippi, or at least that has been the claim to fame. I haven't gone out and physically measured it, but I'll say it takes an hour to get from the coast to the edge of the county inland.
And if there's no eroding of that land from the ocean, you can still claim it.
Yeah, yeah. And then Georgetown County is the third oldest city. Georgetown, the city of Georgetown, is the third oldest in the state of South Carolina. So very, very different. Myrtle Beach area is new. It's about 80 years old. Had no value in farming country. So people didn't start buying beachfront property until late. And then we have historic Georgetown, which is beautiful and has its own little subset of history, much like Charleston and Savannah. I've been in the real estate industry for over 30 years. I was doing that math the other day and it absolutely astounded me, but did start in real estate in my hometown of Florence, South Carolina in the late 80s, and then transitioned into association management in early 2000. Worked for the South Carolina Association of Realtors in a number of capacities until I accepted the position here on the coast in 2009. So a really interesting time to come into a market, primarily resort second home. And during the downturn in 2008, 9, 10, 11,
12 in some cases.
Yeah, you don't have to guess when people own multiple homes, what's the first one they're going to let go. It's certainly not going to be the one they live in. So we led the state for a long time in foreclosures and short sales. So we've seen our fair share of challenges. I did tell my board the other day, I said, I'm good for a major issue about every 3 years, but thank you very much. I think I'm done. I'm done. We can pretty much stop with where we are today.
It's amazing, Laura, how much our career paths have joined. I was a realtor, and then I didn't go to work for the state. But then I went in for the association management about 2008, just like you. We were both in coastal markets, both during that recession period. And I just remember all my friends saying, "Boy, you took the right time to get out." And I was like, that wasn't why, because I knew what was coming. But anyway,
Yeah.
interesting dynamics there over the years. But
Yeah.
this industry does prepare you for a lot. And it's that old saying, experience is the comb that life gives you after all your hair is fallen out. If we had the same exact crisis again, we could do it so much better, but they seem to just be different every time. So
yeah, that's what I tell staff when I hire them. I'm like, no 2 days are the same. Good luck, make a to-do list, things you want to accomplish for the day, but do not grow frustrated when that doesn't happen.
that's exactly right. Good advice. Good advice. So you're also known a lot in the NAR circles for your passion for political action, for political things.
Mhm.
You put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. and I know you're what, platinum R? I'm not certain what level you are in the.
No, I'm golden R.
Yeah,
And I invest in President Circle as well. I'm
yeah,
a Hall of Fame contributor,
that's what I was
and
thinking of. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a Hall of Famer, and I should reach my second level of Hall of Fame in the next year or so.
Well, you've done it. You truly can know someone that supports the industry when they support the industry. And that's one of the first lessons I learned from a lot of different people was how could I ask other people to join if I didn't give? And even though I'm not strictly on the association side now, I'm still giving because I believe in what we're doing there. So tell us a little bit. You've gone about raising funds and more or less awareness of what you do a little bit differently than some other associations are. You're not just trying to get your major investors or anything else. Tell us a little bit about your program and some of the different things that you've done there.
Yeah, the one thing that we have done is we've grown our investments organically, but we use the entire structure of the organization to help us in those efforts. That really has been tremendous for us. And when I say we use the entire organization, we engage our community outreach committee and our philanthropic arm of the association to really be a very active part of how involved we are in the community. We make the relationships by getting out and working with those in the community, whether it's elected officials, staff, or the general public. They know that the realtors are genuinely invested in their communities. We do a lot of work with the various areas. We ask them to help us identify or to identify projects that they need to work on. And we utilize the NAR grants tremendously. That has given us a great opportunity to develop relationships on the front end. And then when we need to have discussions about rules, regulations, any type of issue that comes up that might have a negative impact on private property rights, then we've already have the relationships. We're not trying to build them from the council chambers.
You mentioned your main focus is involvement in community. And that you want to have skin in the game. So can you give us a little bit more detail about that? You mentioned some of it about the NAR grants and those type of things. And I believe we have a picture of one of your programs that you've done. Maybe we can pull that photo up of the food drive.
Yeah, we do a variety of community involvement efforts. We have at every large event, we put out a call to action to ask the folks that are attending to come and bring a food item or a gift for a child. This particular one, we had a lot of success. It's in the fall of the year, so this is in advance of the holidays. And then, we will have the local charity stop and pick it up, or either we'll bring it to them. We do that in all of our communities, and you can see from this example that we had a great turnout from, and that's just a small sampling of what we received that day. Other ways that we have success working in the community with our outreach folks is we do a habitat build. We do pocket parks. Yeah, there's the habitat build right there. We build a house in each county. We rotate back and forth, and while we're building in one county, we're raising money for the build in the other county the following year. So that has been tremendously successful. We've been doing that since long before I got here, but the program had gotten so successful that we were planning to build a year and fundraise the next year, but it became so successful that it allowed us to build one a year. So
Fantastic.
super proud of that. Here's an example of a pocket park. We received grant funding from the National Association of Realtors. And the lady standing behind the bow is the mayor of Conway. And to the right of her, the gentleman with the navy blue blazer is a state senator. They all are represent that area, and they came out to do a ribbon cutting on the park that we had done work with. One
Well,
other way that we invest back in the community is with our children. Children are a vital part of the homeownership process. And we have participated since the very beginning in a career fair called Pathways to Possibilities. And this is 9 counties throughout the state that come together and bring their 7th and 8th graders to visit a variety of businesses in the community to learn about career opportunities, because that is the age where they begin thinking about their career path. How did they need to prepare for it? So, it kind of breaks down what real estate is. We use the game of life and let them play along and understand, what it means to have good finances and to think more broadly about your education. And that real estate isn't just listing and selling properties. There are a lot of other ancillary careers that go along with that. So we have a lot of our affiliate partners that come together and discuss, whether it's on the attorney side, the banking side, the home inspection side, just really what the full scope is involved in the home buying process. And that has been tremendously successful. Not only are we doing this once a year, but now the schools are reaching out to us and asking us to come in and talk about financial literacy, things that the students need to think about as they move forward. So we're involved at just about every level.
that's fantastic. And as you told me, community involvement is the sort of the basement from which you start, or the foundation from which you start.
Right.
Let's dig into that a little bit more. You mentioned a couple of things, and in case some of our listeners are not totally aware of what you're saying, first of all, what is a pocket park? And you're saying we
Yeah.
are
A
involved in a
pocket
pocket
park
park.
is that's how NAR defines the grants. Basically, it could be a park in the town or the area that you're working in that needs a little revitalization. This particular one in Conway was in pretty bad repair. And with the grant funds that we received in conjunction with the work that the city wanted to do, we were able to help them revitalize the park, put in landscaping, benches, do murals. It really made for a statement piece in the downtown area.
If I remember the dialogue correctly, it's something about taking an area that isn't useful and turning it into something useful. I know some have done like bus stops
Mhm.
where the students can go and stand, things like that, with a realtor bench in it, or any number of those.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a total expense for Coastal Carolinas. That was a grant that was
Mhm.
received from NAR.
Right.
One good things about receiving grants, you can always show the members where some of their dues money goes, which I think is important for all of us, especially in this time that we're in.
Absolutely.
Um, Tell me a little bit about the career fair in the 9 counties, because that sounds really interesting and something that would be a different endeavor for a lot of associations. So tell us how that started, or did you start that, or just give us some background or what you would do if you were trying to start it today.
Yeah, there is a foundation in our community that started this, and I believe Pathways to Possibilities is a national program, and they adopted it and decided to bring it here. Got the buy-in from our surrounding counties and school districts for the districts to bus their students into the Myrtle Beach area and attend the event. It's a 2-day event, and there are thousands of students that attend.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting when you take the children into it, and then how it goes home to the parents without any borders or any wariness. Their children are excited about something, so I can see where that would be a real winner.
Well, you think about that age, they're just curious enough to come and participate and listen. And if it sparks a passion within one child to embark on a career that they never dreamed of, I think our job is done. Realtors are more than just listing and selling homes. We are helping people achieve the American dream of home ownership, of property ownership. And that is something that I would venture to say all Americans aspire to
They
at some
do.
level. And many of these kids may not have had that opportunity growing up. Maybe their parents have never been able to buy a home. So if we can spark something within them to think about a career path that maybe they had not considered or even thought that was within their reach, then I think we've done yeoman's work. And to your point, when the kids go home and they're excited about it and they hear that the realtors are the ones that were participating and I got this whatever tchotchke, because I played the
Mhm.
game of life or Monopoly with the realtors and it was fun and I'm interested. That's that to me is that's building capital when you're not even trying.
Absolutely. Anytime you can educate or pique somebody's interest, it's good.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that you said you do is that you educate consumers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we do, we will go into communities and do first-time home buyer seminars, not where we're trying to sell anything, but also, from an approach of many people that are first-time home buyers or new to an area don't know what they don't know. They just
Yes.
assume they can't afford something. I remember when I bought my first home and I thought there was no way in the world I could afford it until I went and was pre-qualified and learned more. And lo and behold, I could afford to buy a home. And I think that is another responsibility that we have as an industry is to help people understand that I can reach that first rung of the home ownership ladder. And help them get on that path, whether they need to work on their finances, whether they need to work on shoring up some credit issues, or just finding the right fit for them to get into. That has been tremendously successful for us.
Good. So consumers, business, students, and then you also have some businesses that are involved in your community. How do you pull those businesses in? How do you get them involved with you with community action?
Well, we have a very robust affiliate program and business partner program. That is a huge non-dues revenue source for our association, and it's really panned out to be a win-win for our organization because not only do we have tremendous involvement with the association functions, but when we are doing things in the community, whether it's a beach sweep or if it is a blood drive or whatever it might be, our affiliates, our businesses come along and participate with us. It's equally as important for them to have visibility in the community, for people to realize that they're community partners as well. And we also partner with our chambers, our other organizations in the community that are working for the betterment of the area. And we're working on a big one right now, a transportation tax that
It's about
we're
that.
we're currently working on that with a huge coalition of partners to pass a 25-year 1 cent transportation tax to shore up our infrastructure that is sorely behind and prepare for the future because we are one of the fastest growing MSAs in the country and we need to prepare now for 40 years down the road. like we didn't do 40 years ago.
I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Hindsight 2020.
Yeah,
So,
but you know, one thing I want to back up to when we were talking about the pocket parks and going and working with the mayors and the elected officials, when you think about that and you're out there in your work clothes and you're standing next to that individual with a shovel in your hand or, you know, holding a ladder or whatever you're doing, you get to know that person on a much different level. And when you need to make an ask or you have an opposition to something they're considering, it makes it a lot easier to go and sit down and have that conversation with that individual because you rolled
mhm,
up your sleeves right beside them to get dirty or to work hard in the community that they serve. So
right.
I think that is a huge point where you build the capital on the front end and then you can spend it later when you need to.
So you're not seen as a taker, you're seen as a giver.
Yes.
So, and you do that ahead of time to sort of store up uh, good chips so
Yeah.
that you can have them later to
Kind of like
utilize.
being married.
Yeah, benefits are a little different, but still get the idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, let me ask you. So, all of this hard work you're doing, everything that's going on, you're doing that not to ask for money, but to give something to the community in order to build that foundation to grow on. So, what's the real impact of this beyond the goodwill and the pocket parks and the different things that you can use? You've mentioned pickings, which sounds fabulous and lots of fun. But where do you head with this? What makes the end different than just doing than a normal community service event? What makes your plan here work a little differently than that? Tell us how you utilize these events to then go on and use it from a PAC perspective or otherwise, how you do that.
Yeah. Well, from the government affairs side of the house, it really makes our government affairs director, it makes her job a lot easier because the doors are open, the welcome sign is up, so she is not seen as an adversary, she is seen as a partner.
Mhm.
It's very common when council is considering some sort of initiative, they will call and ask what the realtors think. How do you feel about this? Will this negatively impact private property rights? And even if they don't understand it on the front end or don't see it on the front end, we've all seen situations where there are unintended consequences. They will listen to us when we bring those issues or those concerns to the table. That has been huge. We work from a position of proactivity instead of being reactive to every situation. And it was hard for us to get from, you know, to that point because at one point I felt like all we were doing was playing whack-a-mole. It was like, you know, one issue pop up and we get it to simmer down and then we had another one. Now, because of the relationships that we have, it's far more collaborative and proactive and what can we do for the betterment of the community instead of always fighting them. Now we'll
Right.
fight a good fight now, don't get me wrong.
We know you, Laura. When you're on the right side, you're on the right side. That's for sure. Well, let me say that, or ask you perhaps would be a better way of phrasing this. What do you think has this been quick and easy to do? How long have you really been investing in this way of community action, creating better avenues for advocacy?
The entire
How
15,
long?
the entire 15 years that I've been here. And it continues to evolve every day. We were not in a great place when I arrived. And it's taken time, you know, you of all people know that I had some setbacks with government affairs directors. And,
Don't we all?
you know, had some challenges there. But you know, you move on. But I will say one of the most successful things that has happened in our organization is our YPM. Now, most people would probably think Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is a retirement community. You cannot possibly have young professionals, but we do. We
Yeah.
do. And we had the secret sauce, and I don't know how that happened, but we got the right people at the right time that had a passion for building the young professionals chapter, and they also had a passion for advocacy and investing in RPAC. So a few years ago, our YPN absolutely embraced RPAC with reckless abandon. And I believe still currently we have the most YPN 10 and 10 pledges, the third most in the country. So that has been huge.
Yes.
They have absolutely put their money where their mouth is. And for those that aren't familiar with the 10 and 10 pledge, they make a 10-year commitment to invest $1,000 a year or $10,000, whichever comes first. And
Wow.
that's huge. I believe last year we ended the year with 40.
Wow. That is great.
It has been tremendous. They basically sell it to one another, and the folks that invest, they understand why. So I'm
And
not out there having to make the ask. Madison's not having to make the ask. It's peer to peer.
and that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And I remember shortly after I became a CEO in the beginning years that about the time that NAR raised the wanted to raise the awareness, put more money into PACs and put more money into advocacy efforts. And I remember thinking, look, that is the most divisive issue that we ever deal with. Why do we want to put so much spotlight on that? And had my doubts. And she's now since passed on, but a real estate commissioner and that I was having dinner with one night with a group of other CEOs and people said to me, all right, stop. After about 20 minutes of conversation about this, batting it back and forth, she said, I'm going to ask you one question, only one question, and you can only answer yes or no. Are we better with our pact and what we do with it, or should we be without it? And it really struck me. I had to sit back and think, okay. And of course, my only answer was yes, we are better off with it. And that really changed my mindset going forward. And sometimes that all it is somebody to make it understand what would happen if it wasn't there and what we're doing. So I love your approach to this of getting the community involved, doing good for the community, building these relationships with the people in your area, because in order for us to be successful, we have to be successful at every level, state, local, national, in order to get people that are centered around the need for housing and things that affect housing. And we all know it can kill our economy, as we've talked about with us starting on this side of the fence in the 08s and 09s, 10s, and the recession and all of it with it. Housing makes a difference.
Yes,
So
it does. It absolutely does. And here's a classic example of how the relationships that we have built make a difference. Just today, I had a couple of questions that I needed the guidance from one of our state house representatives. I sent him a text message and I said, are you available to chat? And the next thing I saw was my phone ring.
there you go.
It absolutely makes a difference. And if you can start building those kind of relationships, it really pays huge dividends. And just in the past election cycle with the folks that we supported with our RPAC dollars and with independent expenditures, if you don't think that makes a difference, those people know it. They know that you have invested big money to do mailers. They know that you're behind them. And win or lose, they will remember that the realtors got in there and fought hard for me because I support their industry. It is, probably better late than never, but NAR, when they came up with, we're the purple party,
Right.
we're the realtor party. Yeah, it's not about, you know, Democrat, Republican, it's about private property rights. You know,
Absolutely.
that's one of the
Absolutely.
staples of our economy. And we need to make sure that we are the voice protecting it, because singularly, homeowners, property owners do not have the same influence that realtors can and do collectively.
And they're not aware of it. They only get involved or listen to real estate when they're thinking about selling or buying.
Or
In
their
other words,
taxes
once they
go
get
up.
well, that too. That's true. But and then they call all their realtors to say, "Can this be right?"
I know.
But I think you're absolutely on target with this and what you're doing. Um, Realtors are the only ones, or the organization is the only one really looking out for housing interest.
Yeah.
There aren't any others. Builders are looking in one direction. Yes, they're housing, but it's slightly different than what we're doing of trying to protect and provide for all housing
Right.
and for all people. So applaud you what you've done. And I thank you for being here with us today. It's been very insightful. I know we've got some people that missed this today, so we are recording this and we can send it out to those that registered. Um, on the on the call, we're opening up here for question and answers. But in the meantime, I want to just say a few highlights of what we've covered here today. Or you've talked to us about how to build a firm foundation by starting off with your community in action, doing something for the community in order to open things up. The other thing that you talked to us about was, I can find my notes again, um, is that it's all about building relationships, working side by side with your council members, your uh, legislative leaders, your people, and they see you there doing the same thing they're doing or giving them opportunities when something is finished is important and opens a door for those relationships when you need something else later. And the other tidbit that I didn't expect us to get is the 10 and 10 for YPN. That is a fascinating, it could be gone for any group. Sign a pledge, you're going to do $10,000 in the next 10 years, $1,000 a year, or however you want to divide it up. Wonderful. And a way to get the younger members understanding what it's all about, because sometimes a hack can be a dirty word, but you're making it a good word and a good basis for
Yeah.
everything we're doing.
Yeah.
To simplify that, I'm going to use an old phrase that I like to use, which is give, ask, receive. And this program is exactly that. Give the community something, give students something, give parents something, give your council people something, improve upon something, and then ask when you need help. And when you do, you then receive the benefits from what you've invested. And not everything that we invest in do we always see a return. And as you said, it's not quick and it's not easy, but it's effective. And in the long run, that's what we're all looking for is effective. So
Absolutely. And one thing I will layer on here, because I thought that was a great summary. Don't forget your staff as far as the uh, local government, county, city staff, because much like those of us that are AEs, a lot, if not all of the hard work is done by staff. And then the volunteers, the
yep,
electeds come along and they might massage it and change it, but we know where the rubber meets the road. So don't
absolutely.
forget the relationships with those staff people. They can be some of the most critical to help
Yes.
you work through issues. So don't forget that. The other thing, when I say staff, don't forget to encourage and challenge your own staff to invest. We don't, obviously you can't require investment, but we highly encourage our staff to invest in the industry that is supporting them. And I always remind them that we are not just working for the association and working for realtors, that we have a greater purpose, that we are the cog in the wheel of home ownership. that we play a vital role in helping individuals achieve that. And when you start to think that you get stuck in the darn dailies of all the things that I've got to do, take a step back and realize that you actually are playing a role in helping someone achieve home ownership.
Those are great examples. And I will just add a little tidbit to that. Our membership people are usually the first ones to meet someone and then start collecting money for them in order to join. And if those people can't explain what the plaque donation is for, it's very difficult to get someone to go ahead and write a check for that. So, very good point on staff from various different levels, and including that legislative staff and people that do the hard work into the fun events, as well as just being there for the
Mhm.
person they're working for. Great,
Sure,
great point.
sure.
So, any words of wisdom that you've gained in your 15 years or so of leading Coastal Carolinas and all the things, the ups and downs, what's the word that you would have for our listeners today in leadership?
Um, it, the industry changes, and as does the environment that we're in. We have to work it every day. It's kind of like how you take care of yourself, whether it's your health or your spiritual self. You have to work on that every day. And you have to do the same for your advocacy efforts, for your community building. It's not a one and done. It has to be continuous, it has to be intentional, and it has to come from the heart. It has to be passionate. And from from a communication standpoint to your members, to your staff, make sure that folks know and understand why investing in RPAC, and that term I think is key, is you're investing in your career, you're investing in your industry, you're investing in private property rights. So for them to spend a little to get major results, I think is very important that they understand that. And it's not hard to look around and find clear examples of how advocacy at the local, state, and national level have done a tremendous amount for our industry.
Absolutely. And we're all in it together.
Yeah.
That's what we have to remember at the end.
True.
All want the same thing, which is a strong ownership level in our country and safe shelter for everyone.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Everyone deserves
Mhm.
shelter.
Absolutely.
Every human being deserves that. And we play a vital role in making that happen.
Absolutely. Well, Laura, it's just been wonderful to spend a little time here with you. And I thank you for all you give to so many. I know I talked about the other day, your new award from the Rotary Club. Congratulations again on that.
Thank
It
you.
shows that you're fully invested in your community and giving. And then for those volunteer people to recognize you with one of their highest awards, I think is fabulous and well deserved for you. You're a great advocate, and Laura's always full of good ideas and willing to share them. So thank you so much, Laura. I do want to close by saying that our next guest for next month's leadership conversation is going to be Dale Zahn, who has spent 50 years in this industry and all in about 3 different levels. And so he's going to come and share with us his insights and what he's learned and gained and why he's given 50 years of his life to this industry. So I hope you'll join us for that and have a wonderful rest of your day and stay cool, because I don't think there's any area in the country right now that isn't wanting some coolness. So thank you very much. And thanks once again, Laura.
Thank you.
Okay.